Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. Well, the Wall Street Journal is highlighting just how good the economy is. That's right, Hartford warns it could file for bankruptcy. That's right, it's given the state government of Connecticut 60 days to come up with $50 million, or they say they're going to default. Now, we've seen this with municipalities over the last couple of years that have been hit hard by economic downturns, loss of revenue, loss of jobs. Hartford's case is pretty unique. However, they are grappling with the same issues overall that municipalities like Detroit and Baltimore and Chicago and Los Angeles and all of these other big cities are dealing with now that the dynamic has changed. See, this is, free trade really kicked our butts and really started the downfall of our ability to be able to pay the bills from a socialistic standpoint. Because remember, these constructs, these local governments and everything else are all built upon socialism. It has nothing to do with how this country was set up to run in the first place. Because if it was, we wouldn't be running into these things right now, because government has no place with some of the things that it's doing. Listen to this. It says, Hartford officials said Thursday it would likely file bankruptcy in 60 days unless Connecticut provides help from the capital city in the midst of a fiscal emergency. City officials warned Governor Daniel Malloy, a Democrat, a state lawmaker, that Hartford, which has a deficit approaching $50 million, wouldn't be able to pay all of its bills within 60 days. Hartford officials said it would file for Chapter 9 bankruptcy at that point unless the state legislature passes a budget that gives the city more funding or otherwise provide it more cash. Now, interestingly enough, Hartford isn't the only one facing a challenge. The state of Connecticut itself is facing a challenge. So now, see, this is where it really gets hokey, because, see, with Detroit, when Detroit went down and went into receivership, Michigan came in and took over. And once this happens, all contracts are void. You know, all the teachers' contracts, firefighters, police, all of it. It all starts from scratch. You renegotiate everything. Now, Michigan was much better suited to handle the Detroit fiasco. Connecticut is in no shape to handle the bankruptcy of its capital city. It says the state of Connecticut is facing its own fiscal challenges and has yet to pass a budget for the current fiscal year that would close a 2-year, $3.5 billion spending gap. Since July 1st, state operations have been funded by an executive order signed by Mr. Malloy that has slashed funding for cities and towns across Connecticut. So, only 64 bankruptcies have been filed by cities, counties, and towns and villages since 1954. And some of the latest ones, of course, you had Detroit in 2013, you had San Bernardino and Stockton, California in 2012. What's it all from? Well, rising fixed costs for health care and pensions have really been what's driven all of these municipalities down. Hartford itself is on the hook for nearly $180 million in payments just for debt service, health care, and pensions. That's more than half of the city's budget. Half of the city's budget goes to health care, pensions, and other costs for the current fiscal year. And debt service, I'm sorry. So that's more than half. That doesn't even count education. Education is another beast of its own. So the city hired a firm that will engage negotiation with its bondholders regardless of the outcome, because truly this debt is unsustainable. You know, we saw it with Illinois. Illinois was about to get hammered when they passed a last-minute budget that really all it did was kick the can down the road. It didn't fix anything at all. If anything, it's going to make it a lot worse when they have to confront it again, just like it is now with Hartford. So these are very interesting times that we live in because you've got a lot of municipalities on the brink with a ton of unfunded liabilities. Much like the United States, the federal government has over $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. How do you even quantify $100 trillion? You know, when you look at what 1 trillion is, 100 trillion is unbelievable. So kicking the can down the road is what we do best. And it looks like that's what we're going to do until this economy in our country implodes. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Have a great day.